After the not-so-unexpected breakup with Kei, there is finally a vacant spot available for anyone who holds their desire to become Ayanokoji's girlfriend. Even though Ayanokoji and Ichinose had seen each other's deepest parts in the Night of Promise, Volume 1 third year arc shows us that there is no actual romantic relationship between them, and Ayanokoji is still a single man. Ichinose has already proven how deeply she was in love with Ayanokoji, but the conclusion of her relationship with him is not something that we expect, and it doesn't seem like they will eventually develop an actual romantic feeling toward each other. We will never know what will happen in the future, but following Kei and Sakayanagi, Ichinose role as a heroine is probably over, but there are still a few heroines that need to be taken care of, so let's take a look at them one by one. If we take a look at Ichinose quote from the newest update of the third year website, she said that her relationship with Ayanokoji may not even last a year, but she thinks that short amount of time is enough for her, because there is no one who knows what will happen in the future. Ichinose quote somehow makes it clear that she has no intent to seek a further relationship with Ayanokoji. However, once again, no one knows what will happen in the future. If we take a look at Amikura's quote, she said aiming for Class A is important, but she also said that it's important to make some memories in their last year of high school. I got a really good feeling that she's actually giving advice to Ichinose to pursue a further relationship with Ayanokoji. Not just a cooperation between classes, but an actual romantic relationship. Since Amikura is Ichinoses' best friend, it's just natural if she knows that Ichinose actually wanted something more. Since Ichinose is the leader of her class, she must have held her actual feelings when it came to Ayanokoji, because a romantic relationship between two class leaders would bring a lot of unnecessary risk, such as emotional judgment or the possibility of breaking contract just because of their personal feelings, and that is probably why Ichinose didn't try to become Ayanokoji's girlfriend. However, the relationship between the two of them has already become such a hot topic among students in Ichinose class, and Ichinose herself has already admitted her feelings to them, so the fact that Ichinose likes Ayanokoji is no longer a secret. Amikura probably understands why Ichinose is holding herself from pursuing her love, and that's why she gave her advice as Ichinose friend. Ichinose quote is probably her answer for Amikura question, where she said she is satisfied with their current relationship. However, Ichinose also teased her about the future, and it made me think that Ichinose will finally make her move on Ayanokoji after they graduate high school. After graduation, when the class battle is finally over, there will be no more hindrance between them, and Ichinose will finally free from her responsibility. Looking at how crazy her actions are when it involve Ayanokoji, it's not unthinkable for Ichinose to keep chasing Ayanokoji even after they graduate. If that's really the case, Ichinose actions in the future will depend on whether Ayanokoji still wants her or not. If Ayanokoji wants her, they could exchange contact before graduation, but if he doesn't, it's not a strong enough reason to make Ichinose stop. Ichinose character still has a lot of room to explore, because we have not yet seen the limit of her actions. If she really goes crazy and doesn't want to accept the end of her relationship with Ayanokoji, she has a lot of option to keep maintaining contact with him. She could become a civil servant who works in information gathering to keep track of Ayanokoji, or she could even become a high-ranking government official so she could get any information about him. It's also worth noted that Ichinose knows about the White Room, and since Atsuomi is still around trying to find investor and ally, there is a chance Ichinose will eventually meet him someday. So her red thread with Ayanokoji will never be cut off as long as she keeps searching. If Ichinose doesn't change for the rest of her school year, this is probably the best way to bring her back in Classroom of the Elite sequel, and let's hope we will definitely get it in the future. When it comes to love, there are 4 different endings for the one who is experiencing it: accepted, rejected, forgotten, or left hanging for the rest of their lives. Since Hiyori is not someone who boldly shows her emotion, her feelings for Ayanokoji will probably be buried forever, because she never finds the courage to confess. However, Hiyori had shown quite a lot of development when it comes to her feelings, starting from giving Ayanokoji her father's book, and asking him to move to her class, and while it is still not confirmed, she is shown very happy when receiving a flower from someone, probably Ayanokoji. There is a chance Hiyori will eventually confess her feelings to Ayanokoji, but from the way the story is currently developing, she will either be rejected, or get accepted just to be used and manipulated. Getting rejected is a good ending for Hiyori, but if Ayanokoji plays with her feelings, I'm afraid that the pure angelic Hiyori will turn into something else. A lot of characters such as Kushida, Hirata, and Ichinose had shown to be very good people at the beginning of the series. However, as the story progressed, we were shown a hidden darker side of them, which is a proof that there is no one in this series who is truly good at their core, and Hiyori is no exception. Hiyori probably doesn't have some kind of traumatic past like Hirata, but from the way Ichinose character was written, Hiyori could also break bad depending on what she will face in the future, and Ayanokoji's manipulation seems like a perfect reason for her to change. However, there is also a chance Hiyori will not turn bad, and will maintain her wisdom. If we take a look at Hiyori's promotional third-year illustration, her sad expression is probably the result of her broken feelings, but judging from her quote, there is no negative word or any bad intention spoken from her mouth. She just said that she will do what only she can do to stop Ayanokoji. Judging by Hiyori character, it's hard to say we will see her again after graduation, so her story needs to be concluded in the third year, or she needs to change so she could be relevant in the future. With that in mind, we should expect a confession in the not-so-distant future. This confession will be important for Hiyori, because her development will have a lot of impact on Riwin class. I wish she could achieve happiness, but it sounds too good to be true. If we take a look at the second-year promotional illustration, there are at least 5 main love interests in the series: Kei, Horikita, Ichinose, Sakayanagi, and Hiyori. Since 3 of them have probably reached the end of their love journey, and Hiyori is just waiting for her turn, it's quite intriguing why Kinugasa chose to make Horikita develop a romantic feeling for Ayanokoji at the end of the second year. Knowing Horikita, she probably wouldn't pursue her feelings any further, especially because Ayanokoji is now her enemy. However, Horikita's character had been developed in a very unique condition, because it was strongly guaranteed that she will meet Atsuomi again in the future, which means we will definitely see her again if we ever get a Classroom of the Elite sequel. It will be a nice callback if Horikita decides to confess her feelings right after graduation, because their very first conversation happened before they entered the school, where Horikita said she didn't want to be involved with Ayanokoji, and now she wants everything to do with him. That way, the series will start and end with their conversation. Even if Horikita chooses to hide her feelings, it still would be fine because if they meet again in the future, their situation will be totally different, and they could start over from scratch. Horikita had shown a lot of interest in Ayanokoji's past, and since it will be hard to find the answer from Ayanokoji's mouth during their high school days, Atsuomi is probably the one who will give Horikita the answer on the outside. Horikita's position as a character is unique. Even if it doesn't involve romantic feelings, we could say that she is the closest person to Ayanokoji, and Ayanokoji himself create his entire plan to revolve around Horikita. It's hard to describe their relationship, but it already surpasses a simple high schooler crush. Even if they didn't end up with each other, the proper conclusion of their relationship is still worth waiting for.